So here we go with my last design of the day on my thumb, and this is a little bit of an introduction to foil, which is one of my favourite things to do. It's kind of minimum effort, maximum impact. So I'm just going to prep my nail for you. There's a couple of things I'll mention in this introduction to foil which are really important, and I'll go over again when I do some more advanced foil techniques. Just about timings and the kind of prep of the gel underneath. So let's just get all of my cuticle off my thumb. Make sure it's all really clean. As I said, I touched on a little bit at the beginning, it's great to practice these techniques on yourself. Not just because practice makes perfect, but when it comes to nail care, I think as nail techs we're pretty good at forgetting how things feel and you know, how it is to experience it yourself. So I like to practice on myself quite a lot with techniques I haven't done before, just so I can perfect them before I put them on my clients. I want to make sure that it lasts and that the effect, you know, is as good as I expect it to be. So just keep that in mind. Let's get rid of this cuticle. And give it a buff over. Let's get rid of our dust. Give this a little bit of a nip. Got some dry skin at the edges here. I always start out when I'm talking to my clients, when I first start doing their nails, to say, you know, at no point should I ever hurt you, so if you're uncomfortable, please let me know. Everybody has different pain thresholds and different levels of comfort. So what you can do on one of your clients, somebody else might not necessarily be comfortable with that. So make sure you keep the lines of communication open and that you make your clients feel as comfortable as possible. So they're pretty happy with that. Let's get rid of the dust. Let's start out with a little bit of nail prep. And a little bit of bond. And once that's air dried, we can go ahead and pop on our base coat. Now, when you're doing people's full manis, I tend to do I always do the 4 fingers first because they sit under the lamp flat, and thumbs last. Now I go into autopilot and forget to explain that to my clients, so I think a lot of the time they think I've forgotten thumbs. But if you pop the whole hand into the lamp like this, the gel can sometimes gather and bag at the end, which means that you get kind of a bit of a build up here, which can be prone to flaking and chipping and just doesn't set under the lamp. So thumbs always last and they sit in the lamp like this. So I'm just going to cure my thumb by lifting the lamp up and putting my hand underneath. So that's going to go in for 30. Now, although foils can go over pretty much any colour, I've chosen 2 to do today, which are blue and green. I think they complement each other really well. This one's got like a circle hologram design, and this one's more like a glitter. I like plain foils. They're great to do with like a more intricate design, but when I'm doing just a foil nail, I like these ones which are sort of multifaceted because they give like a really deep appearance. So I've chosen this blue and this green today. And when I'm doing a full foil nail, I like to do it on top of black just because it kind of has the biggest impact. So I'm going in with Blackpool, and black, with it being a really dark colour, we have to make sure that we're really accurate with our cuticle line. So if you've prepped your cuticle properly, the cuticle edge will be really neat and tidy, so you won't be catching on any skin or any leftover cuticle. So go ahead and be really, really accurate. Tiny little bit of gel on the brush to begin with, sweeping around the edges. And get close to the cuticle but without touching, and make sure it goes up all the way to the top. Just wipe off any excess. And then I'm going to cure that underneath for 30. Okay, so I'm just going to put coat number 2 on, and I'll probably speed up this part of the video because this is pretty boring. We're going to do 4 coats the same as we do with all the other colours. Just remember to build it up slowly, thin layers. Lovely clean cuticle line. It's one of the most important things. All the way up to the edges. And clean up that skin just before it goes under. Okay, thumb flat in the lamp for 30. Here we go with coat number 3. Under 30. Okay, so with coat number 4, we're going to apply it exactly the same, but we're going to do a slightly different curing time. So obviously the longer you leave the gel under the lamp, the less tacky it becomes. And I've figured out with the foil, it likes to stick to the gel when it's a little bit less tacky than if you just set it for 30. So with a lot of trial and error, I've come to the conclusion that the best curing time for making foil stick to the gel is around 40 to 50 seconds. Now, depending on the length of the nail and the surface area of the nail, I would extend that a little bit longer. So for example, if I was doing this nail, I'd probably set it under the lamp for about 45 seconds. With the thumbnail having a slightly larger surface area, I'd be inclined to set it for 50. Again, if you bring it out and it's too much of the tacky layer is gone, or it's still too tacky, you can just add another layer of black polish until you get it right. But I'm going to put that under for 50 seconds. So the black gel has been under the lamp for 50 seconds. It is really important at this point that you tell your clients to keep the nails on the table, because if you have to wipe the nail, if it gets dirty or any fluff gets stuck to it, you have to start the process again, because once you've lost the tacky layer, the foil won't stick. So in this instant, I'm going to do a full foil nail, and I'm going to use a couple of colours and mix them. So the smaller the piece of foil you're working with, the better. You could use half of this and still have the same effect. As I touched on a little bit before about having something on the gel that compromises how long it lasts, because the foil is still sort of a barrier between each layer of gel, I tend to stay away as much as I can from the free edge, because it gets in the way of you being able to wrap it, which could cause a little bit of lifting. So just be conscious of that when you're applying it. Now, the coloured edge is always on the outside, and this silvery matte edge is the layer that you'll actually be pressing onto the nail. You're never going to get completely accurate application with foil, and that's what I kind of love about it, that it's abstract and every nail is going to be different. So once you're confident with your colours and you know that your gel's been set for 45 to 50 seconds, you can go ahead and start pressing the foil onto the nail. Now, I found the best way to do this is to be quite forthright with it. So you pop it on and then pull it back super quick. So let's just go ahead and put some of this green on the center part of the nail. So make sure you press it down with your thumb so it's definitely touching the gel, and then quickly remove. So you can see there it's stuck to the tacky layer perfectly, which says that I've cured it for the right amount of time. And then I'm going to layer the green with a little bit of blue. So the same motion, you thumb down, pressing really firmly and then lifting the foil really quick. So that's covered the other half of the nail. Now there is still some black which is available for foil. So let's just go back in with a little bit more green and fill in those gaps. So there we have it, blue and green. It's pretty much covered my nail. I haven't touched the free edge, so I'm keeping that available for the top coat to make sure that the foil's sealed in. So that doesn't need to go into the lamp because it doesn't need cured. So as long as you're happy that you've covered the right amount of the nail, we're just going to go ahead and seal that in with our top coat. So be quite generous with the top coat just to make sure that it's going to be completely sealed in, this foil, right up to the edges, and covering the free edge as well as you can. So you can use all sorts of complementary colours. You can use reds and golds at Christmas, it's a great look, silvers and pinks, or you can just use one colour if you like. So like a whole nail of green would be super cool. So let's set that under for 30. So there we are, first top coat sealed. Let's get our second one on. Be really generous with your top coat over foil. A little bit of advice for aftercare for your clients as well is to avoid having your gels soak in warm water for a long time, especially when it comes to the foils, because you don't want any of the top coat lifting, because it'll leave the foil exposed, which could cause some lifting and some peeling. And also not to use them to pick, because if you pick something in a label or a sticker from something, it could push in between the layers, which would mean the top coat and the foil would just peel off. So just to be aware of that. Let's get that under for the last 30. There we are, he's all set. So let's give him a wipe over with some acetone free. And be extra careful if you're neatening up the free edge. Make sure it goes right underneath your nail if you've got anything that you need to tidy up, because you don't want to get rid of the bit that you've wrapped to make the foil exposed. Neaten that up and get some oil on these dry fingers of mine. And there you have it. Your introduction to foil. Really simple. I'm looking forward to showing you some more advanced techniques using this because it is so effective and so beautiful. Hope you love it. Crazy, but kind of nice.